Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Avatar news update video, and I got actually a decent amount of stuff to talk about this time. And I suppose the first thing to talk about is that I'm getting this video out on Wednesday now, so you guys know to be aware that news is coming over the weekend. That is because starting tomorrow, but for Avatar fans Friday, New York Comic Con is happening, and we basically know we are going to get some form of Legend of Korra comics news over the course of the weekend. There are 2 panels to keep an eye out for over the weekend. Again, I'll cover these over on news videos over the course of the weekend, podcasts and stuff like that. If you follow me, you'll know about the news. On Friday, which is probably going to be the most interesting panel where most of the main news will come out of, that is Friday, October 9th at 11 a.m. New York time, of course, New York Comic Con. That is the Dark Horse Classified panel. And now, basically, the reason they call it classified is because they're going to be revealing a lot of new things, stuff that has been kept a secret up to now, stuff that we don't know about. But Dark Horse have effectively teased on Twitter that we are going to get Korra news at it. They've responded to a bunch of people saying, I hope that they talk about Korra comics during the classified panel, and it's basically confirmed it's going to happen. Now, as for what's going to happen, that's what we're not sure about. The only proper member of the creative team we know right now is Mike DiMartino, who's going to be the writer. They don't have an artist yet. Most people assume they will announce the artist at this panel or something like that. At the very least, I would hope for the title of this comic, because it's not just going to be called the Legend of Korra comic. Whatever, whether it be, Avatar comics are called The Promise, The Search, The Rift, Smoke and Shadow. What's going to be the Korra title? That's going to be interesting. I would hope if they do announce the artist, they show off some of this artist's Korra work, what their art actually looks like, whether that be through the cover for part 1 or just some other kind of promo pieces of art. And maybe talk a little bit more about what the actual story of this comic is going to be. I assume it's going to be very early news. We're not going to get a ton of information, but I hope we get more than what we got at San Diego. And this leads into the panel that's going to be on Saturday, October 10th at 2 p.m. And this is the Dark Horse All Ages Comics Are For Everyone panel. And this may not seem like, what are they talking about here? What does this matter at all? Obviously, Avatar is a franchise that is good for kids and adults alike. It would make sense for them to talk about it here. The reason everyone's interested in this panel as Korra fans is because they initially had the description of this panel reading that a member of the Korra creative team Korra comic creative team is going to be at the panel. They have since removed that, but they've kind of replaced it with and special guest. So we're not fully sure if they've changed their plans and the reveal will actually be at the classified panel, or if they're still going to appear at this panel, but it's one that you should potentially keep your eye out for. But the classified panel on Friday is where I think most of the news will come out of. In other news from the convention, the only other thing of note is that there's going to be a New York Comic Con exclusive print, Avatar The Last Airbender by Amei Zhao. And it's not by any member of the Korra creative team. It just seems like it's some artist. I don't really think this artist is going to be the artist for the comic just because it's a picture of Aang. It's a nice looking image, but because it's not done by anyone who's associated with the show, it doesn't hold as much interest for me, but it is definitely a nice image. So that's the New York Comic Con news. That's definitely going to be the big news over the next couple of days. The other news that we have is that just a few days ago, Wire Industries, who obviously have put out the Lin Beifong statue, the SDCC exclusive version and the normal version, we know that they're going to be doing other figures, and they've basically revealed what their next figure is, and that is Korra. Now, the way they did this was a little bit silly in my opinion, as you can see from the images being shown in the video portion of this video. The shots I'm showing you are not horrible editing on my part, that I didn't put the video together properly. No, literally they revealed this by showing fragments of a larger image. So right now we only have these 3 little images of Korra, one of her shoe, one of her kind of lower torso area kind of thing, and then one of part of her head. But it's obvious that it's Korra, and because it's so obvious, because the pictures show a decent amount of the figure but not all of it, it's to the point where like you either should have not shown as much as you did and really make it a tease, really test people to figure out who it is, or just show the full image. It was a kind of pointless tease. I understand why a lot of kind of independent toy companies do this to build up hype, but this was kind of pointless, so I don't really get why they did that. As far as I'm aware, Wire Industries are not going to be at New York Comic Con, so we won't get any new news, but it's nice to know that the Korra figure is coming up next, and I think it personally looks pretty nice. Some pretty big water effects parts, it looks like, are going to be around the size of this figure, but in general it looks to be Korra from book 3. She's got her airbending staff, and she's doing a classic Korra pose, and I think that's very fitting. You know, they've gone for her with the airbender glider and stuff like that, so I'm eager to see pictures of the full figure, just to see exactly how the effect part works, just because right now I'm kind of thinking it's a little bit big compared to like Lynn, who didn't really have any effect parts bending wise, but there's that, and it's interesting enough. Other thing is that actually just yesterday, October 6th, was the release date for in America the Avatar: The Last Airbender complete DVD collection set. Now, reviews have come out from places like IGN, and we know right now that it is just a repackaging of previous discs. So the new stuff here is just the art on the overall set and the 3 individual seasons. There is nothing new about the discs. They haven't fixed the first few discs on Book 1 Water. They haven't made them HD, changed aspect ratios or anything like that, so just be aware of that. It's if you have the DVDs already, it's going to have the same extras as before, so be aware of that. I do have it ordered. It's going to take a little bit of time to come in because obviously I'm ordering it from America, being from Ireland, so it's going to take a couple of weeks before I actually get my version and can talk in depth about it, but just be aware of that. Final thing I'm going to mention here is just that Avatar Legacy book is actually out next week, October 13th. I am expecting a review copy of this book any day now. I was hoping it would have arrived last week or early this week, but there's been a postal strike the last few days in Ireland, and it's just ended, so I'm literally expecting it like tomorrow or Friday, at the very latest Monday. So I'm all set to review this book once it comes out. I'm just waiting for it to arrive. So hopefully that will come out and I can let you guys know what the book actually is. So I will do my best to get that review out as soon as possible. Just because I probably should have had it a week ago if not for circumstances out of my control completely. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that book. Again, the release date for that is October 13th. Amazon have it for pretty cheap if you're looking to pick it up. But yeah, that's that. So yeah, a lot of it's been nearly a year since Korra has ended, and there's still so much to talk about. I think that's the most interesting thing about the last couple of weeks. A product out this week, a product out next week. We're getting news over the weekend about the kind of future of the franchise going forward in terms of story for Korra. This is really kind of good that this is happening to our franchise. So in general, I like doing videos like this because just the fact that I can, and I'm not talking about tiny bits of news for a long time. There's actually enough news out there to do a pretty big news video. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are, what you expect from New York Comic Con, what your thoughts are on some of this stuff like the reveal of the Newswire Industries figure, and your thoughts on stuff like that. Only other thing I'll say is actually also October 6th was the mass market release date for Smoke and Shadow Part 1. So if you don't have a comic book store nearby, but you do have a regular bookstore that sometimes gets in comics, they should be getting that in any day now. October 6th was the release date for there. Amazon now have it officially, so you can order from there if you've been waiting for that. So Smoke and Shadow is now available to everyone. It basically can be available for. So definitely read that book. It's really good. So yeah, as I said, look out for the podcasts over the course of the weekend. Check out Avatar The Last Airbender online.com for all of the news of about New York Comic Con, Korra-wise. Two members of the podcast, Greg and Kelly from the podcast, are both attending New York Comic Con, and I think both of them are planning on attending the classified panel, so we should have information on that as soon as possible. So yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to. I'm going to end the video now, so thanks for watching this video, and bye.